Hello everyone, my name is Kayla Rodriguez and today I'll be demonstrating my second video assignment. Throughout this demonstration, I'll be covering an appropriate warm-up, Olympic lifting variations, lower body, trunk, upper body, plyometrics, resisted sprint training, hurdle speed drills, and finally a cool down. As I demonstrate each exercise, I'll explain the purpose of the exercise, the proper setup, correct execution, primary muscles involved, and common technique errors. So before beginning any high-intensity training, it's extremely important to properly warm up. A proper warm-up increases body temperature, improves blood flow, prepares the nervous system, increases joint mobility, and reduces injury risk while improving overall performance. Our warm-up consists of a general warm-up followed by a dynamic movement-specific warm-up. Our general warm-up for today will be 10 minutes on the assault bike. The purpose of the assault bike is to gradually increase heart rate, elevate body temperature, improve circulation, and prepare the cardiovascular system for the more explosive exercise we'll be performing later in today's workout. To properly set up the assault bike, I'll adjust the seat so that my knee maintains a slight bend at the bottom of each pedal stroke, and I'll keep both hands on the handles with the top posture and my core engaged. During the exercise, I'll maintain a moderate pace rather than sprinting. Since this is only the warm-up, the goal isn't fatigue. The goal is simply to prepare my body for movement. So for these 10 minutes, I was going about 25 miles per hour. Some common mistakes for this assault bike warm-up is beginning too fast, rounding the back, gripping the handles too tightly, or allowing the knees to collapse inward while pedaling. And primary muscles involved include the quadriceps, hamstrings, glutes, calves, shoulders, chest, and upper back, making this an excellent full body warm-up. Now that our body temperature has increased, we'll transition into our dynamic warm-up. Unlike static stretching, dynamic exercises actively move the joints through their full range of motion while preparing the muscles and nervous system for explosive movement. Our first dynamic exercise will be the lunge with the overhead lateral reach. This exercise improves hip mobility, thoracic spine mobility, balance, and activates the glutes while stretching the hip flexors and lateral trunk muscles. To perform the movement, I'll step forward into a controlled lunge while keeping my front knee aligned over my toes. As I lower into the lunge, I'll reach one arm overhead and gently lean toward my front leg. And after returning to the starting position, I'll repeat on the opposite side. Throughout this movement, I'll keep my chest tall, my core engaged, and avoid leaning forward excessively. And some common mistakes include allowing the front knee to cape inward, arching the lower back excessively, or leaning too far sideways. Next, we'll perform ankle scoops. This exercise dynamically stretches the hamstrings while improving ankle mobility. To perform the exercise, I'll step forward with my heel contacting the ground first while keeping my toe pointed upward. I'll hinge on my hips with a straight back and scoop both hands toward my ankle before returning upright and repeating on the opposite side. Throughout the exercise, I'll maintain a neutral spine and avoid rounding my back. And some common mistakes throughout this movement include bending excessively through the spine or locking the knees too aggressively. Our next exercise is a straight leg march. This movement dynamically stretches the hamstrings while reinforcing proper posture and coordination. I'll keep both knees straight while marching forward and reaching opposite hands toward each butt. This movement should remain smooth and controlled without bouncing, and avoid rounding the back or forcing the leg higher than comfortable. Next, we'll perform high knees. High knees prepare the body for sprinting by improving hip flexor activation, stride frequency, coordination, and cardiovascular readiness. While moving forward, I'll rapidly drive each knee toward hip height while landing softly on the balls of my feet. I'll swing my arms naturally just as I would sprinting, but some common mistakes include leaning backward, striking heavily with the heels, or allowing the knees to stay low. Next exercise is the A-skip. A-skip is one of the best sprint mechanics drills because it teaches proper knee drive, posture, foot strike, and rhythm. For this movement, I'll explosively drive one knee upward while simultaneously pushing off the opposite foot in a skipping motion. I'll land softly underneath my center of mass before repeating on the opposite side. Some common mistakes for the A-skips include reaching too far in front of the body, overstriding, or landing heavily. Now we'll progress into lateral A-skips. This exercise develops lateral movement mechanics while improving coordination, hip stability, and frontal plane control. This movement is similar to the traditional A-skip, except now I'll move sideways while maintaining proper posture and explosive knee drive. Avoid crossing the feet or leaning excessively. Our final movement drill is the karaoke drill. Karaoke improves hip mobility, rotational coordination, agility, and footwork. So while moving sideways, I'll alternately cross one foot in front of and then behind the opposite foot while maintaining smooth rhythmic movement. I'll keep my chest facing forward and allow rotation primarily through my hips. Some common mistakes include rotating the shoulders too much or losing rhythm. Our final exercise is pogos. Pogos prepare the lower legs and Achilles tendon for plyometric activity by improving ankle stiffness, reactive strength, and rapid ground contacts. So I'll begin with 20 seconds of double leg pogos before progressing to 10 seconds on each leg individually. The movement should come primarily from the ankles with very little knee bend. I'll remain on the balls of my feet while minimizing ground contact time. Some common mistakes for this movement include jumping too high, allowing the heels to contact the ground, or bending excessively through the knees. So now that we've completed both our general and specific warm-up, our muscles, joints, and nervous system are fully prepared for explosive movement. We'll now transition into the first portion of today's workout, our Olympic lift cleans variation. Now we'll move into our first exercise modality, Olympic lift clean variations. Olympic lifts are one of the most effective methods for developing muscular power, explosive strength, coordination, and rate of force development. According to NSCA, these exercises are especially beneficial for athletes because they require rapid force production, which transfers well into sprinting, jumping, and many sport-specific movements. Throughout all clean variations, the movement begins with a powerful triple extension of the hips, knees, and ankles before rapidly pulling the body underneath the bar. The movement should always be explosive while maintaining proper posture and control. Common mistakes include rounding the lower back, pulling with the arms too early, allowing the bar to drift from the body, or failing to fully extend the hips before beginning the pull. So our first exercise will be the power clean from safety pins. Beginning from safety pins eliminates the first pull from the floor and allows the athlete to focus on generating explosive power from a consistent starting position. To properly set up, I'll position the safety pins just above knee height. I'll stand with my feet about shoulder width apart, grip the bar slightly wider than shoulder width using a close grip, maintain a neutral spine, engage my core, and position my shoulders slightly in front of the bar. To perform the lift, I'll drive forcefully through my legs while extending my hips, knees, and ankles simultaneously. Once I've completed triple extension, I'll shrug my shoulders and quickly rotate my elbows underneath the bar to catch it in the front rack position before standing tall. Primary muscles involved include the glutes, quadriceps, hamstrings, calves, traps, spinal erectors, shoulders, and core. And common mistakes for this first exercise include beginning with rounded shoulders, pulling with the arms before extending the hips, or catching the bar with low elbows. Our second variation is a traditional power clean from the floor. Unlike the previous variation, this exercise begins from the ground, requiring the athlete to perform both the first and second pull while maintaining excellent technique. I'll begin with the bar positioned over the middle of my feet. My hips will remain slightly above my knees, my shoulders slightly in front of the bar, my chest up, and my back flat. As I begin the lift, I'll push the floor away while keeping the bar close to my legs. Once the bar reaches my thighs, I'll aggressively extend through the hips, knees, and ankles before quickly pulling myself underneath the bar and receiving it in the front rack position. This movement develops whole body power while reinforcing proper Olympic lifting mechanics, and common mistakes for this variation include jerking the bar from the floor, allowing the hips to rise faster than the shoulders, swinging the bar away from the body, or failing to finish triple extension. Our final power clean variation is a hang power clean to elevated lunge. This progression combines explosive power with unilateral stability and lower body coordination. So I'll begin from the hang position with the bar resting just above my knees. After performing an explosive hang power clean, I'll immediately step into an elevated lunge using the designated box before returning to the starting position. This variation challenges balance while reinforcing force production and lower body stability, and the primary muscles include the glutes, quadriceps, hamstrings, calves, shoulders, core, and hip stabilizers. Common mistakes for this last variation include rushing into the lunge, allowing the front knee to collapse inward, or losing posture after catching the clean. Next, we'll perform clean pulls. Unlike the power clean, the athlete never catches the bar. Instead, the emphasis is entirely on maximizing force production through triple extension. Because the catch is removed, athletes can often use heavier loads to further develop explosive power. Our first variation is the mid-thigh clean pull. Starting from the mid-thigh position allows the athlete to focus almost entirely on the explosive second pull. I'll begin standing tall with the bar resting against my thighs. I'll slightly hinge at the hips before explosively extending through the hips, knees, and ankles while shrugging the shoulders upward. Notice that my elbows remain straight until after full extension has occurred. The primary muscles involved include the glutes, quadriceps, hamstrings, calves, trapezius, and spinal erectors. Our second variation is a hang clean pull. Starting from the hang position reinforces proper bar path while developing explosive lower body power. I'll hinge to just above the knees before rapidly extending through triple extension and shrugging upward without catching the bar. Because there's no catch, I can focus entirely on producing maximum force. And common mistakes for this variation include swinging the bar away from the body or using the arms instead of the hips. Our final variation is a clean pull from the floor. This exercise incorporates both the first pull and the second pull while emphasizing maximal force production. I'll begin in the same starting position as the power clean, keeping my chest tall, core braced, and back neutral. I'll drive through the floor, keep the bar close to my body, and aggressively extend to triple extension before finishing with a powerful shrug. Again, unlike the power clean, I won't pull underneath the bar. This exercise develops maximal power production while reinforcing proper Olympic lifting mechanics. So now that we've completed our Olympic lift clean variations and developed explosive triple extension, we'll transition into our lower body plyometric exercises, where we'll continue emphasizing power production through rapid force development and reactive strength. Now we'll move on into our lower body plyometric exercises. According to the NSCA, plyometric training is designed to improve muscular power by utilizing the stretch shortening cycle. During the cycle, the muscles rapidly transition through 3 phases: the eccentric phase, where the muscle lengthens; the amortization phase, which is a brief transition period; and the concentric phase, where the muscle shortens explosively. The goal of plyometric training is to minimize the amortization phase, so stored elastic energy and the stretch reflex can be used to produce greater force. These exercises improve rate of force development, jumping ability, sprint performance, and change of direction speed. Throughout every plyometric exercise, my focus will be on quality rather than quantity. Each rep should be explosive, controlled, and technically sound, and common mistakes include allowing the knees to collapse inward, landing with stiff legs, excessive forward trunk lean, or pausing too long between landing and takeoff. Our first exercise is a depth jump with a stick landing. This variation is excellent for teaching proper landing mechanics before progressing to more advanced reactive plyometrics. So to begin, I'll stand tall on top of the box with my feet about hip width apart. Rather than jumping upward off the box, I'll simply step off, allowing gravity to bring me to the ground. As I land, I'll immediately absorb the force by flexing my hips, knees, and ankles while maintaining a neutral spine and keeping my knees aligned over my toes. Instead of rebounding, I'll hold my landing position for a brief moment, or stick landing, demonstrating complete control. Primary muscles involved include the quadriceps, gluteus maximus, hamstrings, calves, and core stabilizers. The purpose of this variation is to teach proper deceleration mechanics and improve eccentric strength while reducing injury risk. Common mistakes include jumping off the box instead of stepping off, allowing the knees to cave inward, landing on the heels, or collapsing the chest forward. Our second variation is a depth jump to vertical jump. This exercise progresses from landing mechanics into reactive power development. The setup remains the same. I'll step off the box, land softly, and immediately transition into a maximal vertical jump. The key difference is minimizing the amortization phase, so I want to spend as little time on the ground as possible before exploding upward. This exercise develops reactive strength, rate of force development, and vertical jumping ability, and the primary muscles remain the glutes, quadriceps, hamstrings, calves, and core. Common mistakes for this variation include pausing too long after landing, landing with excessive knee valgus, or failing to fully extend through triple extension during takeoff. Our final depth jump variation is a depth jump to broad jump. So instead of jumping vertically after landing, I'll immediately explode forward into a maximal broad jump. This movement develops horizontal power, acceleration, and sprint-specific force production. After stepping off the box, I'll absorb the landing before rapidly driving my arms and extending through my hips, knees, and ankles to project my body forward. I'll land softly in an athletic position with my hips, back, and knees slightly bent. Common mistakes include landing too upright, failing to use the arms effectively, or allowing the knees to collapse inward. Next, we'll perform box jumps. Unlike death jumps, the purpose of a box jump is to maximize explosive power while reducing landing forces because the athlete lands on an elevated surface. Emphasis is on producing maximum force during takeoff, not simply jumping into a taller box. Our first variation is the double leg box jump. I will begin standing approximately 1 to 2 feet away from the box with my feet shoulder width apart. I'll perform a quick counter movement by flexing my hips and knees before explosively extending through triple extension while swinging my arms upward. I'll land softly on top of the box with both feet simultaneously while maintaining an athletic position. Primary muscles involved include the quadriceps, glutes, hamstrings, calves, and core. The common mistakes for this first variation include jumping from too far away, landing with stiff knees, or selecting a box that's too high and requiring excessive hip flexion. Our second progression is a double leg box jump to a single leg landing. This variation introduces unilateral stability after the explosive jump. So I'll jump using both legs but intentionally land on one leg while maintaining balance and proper alignment. This challenges hip stability, ankle stability, proprioception, and balance. And common mistakes for this variation include allowing the pelvis to drop, the knee to collapse inward, or rushing the landing. Our final progression is a single leg box jump to single leg landing. This is the most advanced variation because all force production and landing control occur on one leg. So I'll begin balancing on one foot before performing a powerful single leg jump into the box and landing on the same leg. This exercise develops unilateral power, balance, coordination, and lower extremity stability, making it especially beneficial for sports involving sprinting, cutting, and jumping. Primary muscles include the gluteus maximus, gluteus medius, quadriceps, hamstrings, calves, and core. And common mistakes for this variation include pushing off with the opposite foot, losing balance during landing, or allowing the knee to move inward. That does complete our lower body plyometric training. These exercises emphasize proper landing mechanics, reactive strength, and the stretch shortening cycle to improve explosive performance. We'll now transition into trunk body plyometric exercise where we'll continue developing power while incorporating rotational strength and core stability. Now we'll transition into our trunk body plyometric exercises. While many people associate plyometrics with the lower body, the trunk plays a critical role in transferring force between the upper and lower extremities. A strong and explosive core allows athletes to generate, transfer, and control force more efficiently during sport-specific movements such as throwing, swinging, sprinting, and changing direction. These exercises emphasize rotational power because many sports involve producing force in the transverse plane. Examples include baseball pitching, softball batting, golf swings, tennis serves, volleyball attacks, and football passing. Throughout these exercises, I'll maintain a braced core, generate power from my hips and trunk rather than only my arms, and perform every repetition explosively while remaining under control. Common mistakes included using only the arms, failing to rotate through the hips, arching the lower back, or losing balance during the throw. Our first exercise is the half kneeling overhead rotational medicine ball throw. The half kneeling position removes assistance from the lower body, forcing the athlete to generate rotational power primarily through the trunk and core. To set up, I'll assume a half kneeling position with one knee on the ground and the opposite foot planted firmly in front. I'll hold the medicine ball overhead with both hands while maintaining a tall posture and a braced core. Now, to perform the exercise, I'll rotate my trunk toward one side before explosively rotating through my hips and core while throwing the medicine ball overhead toward my target. The primary muscles involved include the rectus abdominis, internal and external obliques, transverse abdominis, latissimus dorsi, shoulders, and hip stabilizers. And the purpose of this exercise is to improve rotational power while reinforcing core stability. Common mistakes include leaning excessively backward, throwing only with the arms, or failing to rotate the trunk. Our second variation is a staggered overhead rotational throw. The staggered stance introduces greater lower body involvement while still emphasizing rotational power. So I'll begin with one foot slightly in front of the other, maintaining a balanced athletic stance. After rotating away from my target, I'll rapidly rotate through my hips and trunk while explosively throwing the medicine ball overhead. This variation closely resembles many sport-specific movements because force is transferred from the lower body through the core and finally into the upper body. Common mistakes include rotating only the shoulders, lifting the heels off the floor too early, or failing to follow through. Our final progression is a single leg stance overhead rotational throw. This variation adds balance and unilateral stability while maintaining explosive rotational power. So I'll begin balancing on one leg while holding the medicine ball overhead. After establishing my balance, I'll rotate through my trunk before explosively throwing the medicine ball toward the target. This exercise challenges the core, hip stabilizers, and ankle stability while requiring the athlete to maintain proper posture throughout the movement. Common mistakes include losing balance before the throw, allowing the knee to collapse inward, or rushing the movement. Next, we'll perform seated rotational medicine ball passes. These exercises isolate trunk rotation by removing lower body momentum, forcing the core to generate nearly all of the movement. Our first variation is a Russian twist medicine ball pass with the knees bent. I'll begin seated on the floor with my knees bent, heels lightly touching the floor, and my torso leaning back slightly while maintaining a neutral spine. Holding the medicine ball close to my chest, I'll rotate my shoulders and trunk from side to side while either passing or lightly tossing the ball to a partner, or in this case, the rebounder. Primary muscles include the internal and external obliques, rectus abdominis, transverse abdominis, hip flexors, and spinal stabilizers. The purpose of this exercise is to improve rotational strength, coordination, and core endurance. Common mistakes include rounding the back, moving only the arms, or allowing the knees to move excessively. Our second variation extends the legs completely. By straightening the legs, the lever arm becomes longer, increasing the demand placed on the core. So I'll maintain the same posture while rotating explosively from side to side. Because this exercise is more challenging, I'll focus on maintaining proper posture throughout every repetition. Common mistakes include allowing the lower back to round or using momentum instead of controlled rotation. Our final progression is a hollow hold rotational medicine ball pass. This is the most advanced variation because the athlete must maintain a hollow body position while simultaneously producing rotational power. I'll begin lying slightly back with my shoulders elevated, legs extended off the floor, and my core fully engaged. While maintaining the hollow hold, I'll rotate the medicine ball from side to side, or in this case again, pass it to the rebounder. The exercise develops trunk stability, anti-extension strength, rotational power simultaneously. Primary muscles include the rectus abdominis, transverse abdominis, obliques, hip flexors, and deep spinal stabilizers. And common mistakes include allowing the lower back to arch, dropping the legs, or losing the hollow position. That completes our trunk body plyometric exercises. These movements emphasize explosive rotational power, core stability, and efficient force transfer between the lower and upper body. We'll now move into our upper body plyometric exercises, where we'll continue developing explosive power through medicine ball throws and plyometric push-up variations. Now we'll transition into our upper body plyometric exercises. Upper body plyometrics are designed to improve explosive strength and rate of force development in the muscles of the upper body. Similar to lower body plyometrics, these exercises utilize a stretch shortening cycle by rapidly transitioning from an eccentric muscle action into a powerful concentric contraction. These exercises are especially beneficial for athletes who throw, strike, block, or push explosively during sports. Examples include football linemen, volleyball players, baseball pitchers, basketball players, swimmers, and tennis athletes. Throughout these exercises, I'll maintain proper posture, keep my core engaged, and generate maximum force while maintaining complete control of each repetition. Common mistakes include relying only on the arms instead of using the entire kinetic chain, losing trunk stability, or sacrificing technique for speed. Our first exercise is a kneeling chest medicine ball throw. The kneeling position removes assistance from the lower body, forcing the athlete to generate power primarily through the chest, shoulders, triceps, and core. To properly set up, I'll kneel upright with both knees on the floor while holding the medicine ball at chest level. I'll keep my core engaged, chest tall, and elbows slightly underneath the ball. To perform the movement, I'll rapidly extend my elbows while driving the medicine ball straight forward toward my partner or wall. In this case, I'm using the rebounder, and I'll fully extend my arms and follow through naturally before resetting for the next repetition. Primary muscles involved include the pectoralis major, anterior deltoids, triceps brachii, serratus anterior, and core stabilizers. And the purpose of this exercise is to improve upper body power and teach force production without assistance from the legs. Common mistakes include arching the lower back, dropping the elbows, throwing upward instead of forward, or relying only on the arms without engaging the core. Our second variation is a standing chest medicine ball throw. Standing allows us to incorporate the lower body into the movement, creating a full body explosive pattern similar to many athletic movements. I'll begin standing with my feet shoulder width apart while holding the medicine ball at a chest level. Before throwing, I'll perform a slight counter movement by bending my hips and knees. Then I'll rapidly extend through my hips, knees, and ankles while simultaneously driving the medicine ball forward. This movement develops coordination throughout the entire kinetic chain while improving upper body power, and common mistakes include failing to use the legs, leaning backward excessively, or releasing the ball too late. Our final progression is a step-in chest medicine ball throw. This variation closely resembles many sport-specific movements because force is transferred from the lower body through the trunk and into the upper body. I'll begin holding the medicine ball at chest height before stepping forward with one foot. As my foot plants, I'll aggressively transfer my body weight forward while explosively throwing the medicine ball. This sequence teaches efficient force transfer through the kinetic chain, making it beneficial for sports involving throwing, blocking, or striking. Primary muscles include the glutes, quadriceps, core, pectoralis major, deltoids, and triceps. And common mistakes include stepping too late, throwing before transferring body weight, or losing trunk stability. Next, we'll perform plyometric push-up variations. Plyometric push-ups use the stress shortening cycle to rapidly produce force through the upper body. They improve upper body power, rate of force development, and explosive pressing ability. These exercises are commonly used by football players, wrestlers, rugby athletes, and many other sports requiring rapid pushing movements. Our first variation is the incline plyometric push-up. Using an elevated surface decreases the amount of body weight being lifted, making this an excellent progression for athletes developing upper body explosive strength. To begin, I'll place my hands slightly wider than shoulder width apart on the bench while maintaining a straight line from my head to my heels. I'll lower under control until my elbows reach approximately 90 degrees before explosively pushing away from the bench so my hands briefly leave the surface. I'll land softly with slightly bent elbows before immediately beginning the next repetition. Primary muscles include the pectoralis major, anterior deltoids, triceps, serratus anterior, and core. Common mistakes include allowing the hips to sag, flaring the elbows excessively, or landing with locked elbows. Our second variation is a modified plyometric push-up. This progression is performed from the knees while maintaining proper upper body mechanics. Although the movement is modified, the emphasis remains on producing maximum force during the concentric phase. So I'll maintain a straight line from my knees to my shoulders while lowering my chest under control before explosively pushing my hands off the floor. The purpose is to improve upper body power while allowing athletes to master proper technique before progressing to more advanced variations. Common mistakes include incomplete range of motion, allowing the hips to flex excessively, or failing to push explosively. Our final variation is a modified clap push-up. This is a more advanced progression requiring greater rate of force development because enough force must be generated for the hands to leave the ground and clap before returning safely to the floor. I'll begin in the modified push-up position with my core engaged. After lowering my chest under control, I'll explosively push away from the floor, clap my hands quickly, then immediately return them to the floor before landing softly and beginning the next repetition. Primary muscles remain the pectoralis major, anterior deltoids, triceps, serratus anterior, and core stabilizers. Common mistakes include sacrificing push-up depth, collapsing onto the floor after the clap, or allowing the head to extend excessively. That completes our upper body plyometric training. These exercises focused on developing explosive pressing power, improving the rate of force development, and efficiently transferring force through the upper body. We'll now transition into resistor sprint training, where we'll apply these explosive principles to acceleration and sprint mechanics. Now we'll transition into resistor sprint training. Resistor sprint exercises are designed to improve acceleration, sprint mechanics, horizontal force production, and rate of force development. By adding resistance, athletes are required to apply greater force into the ground while maintaining proper sprint mechanics. According to the NSCA, resisted sprinting should provide enough resistance to challenge the athlete without significantly altering normal sprint technique. The emphasis should always remain on producing force efficiently while maintaining proper body position. These exercises are especially beneficial for athletes participating in football, soccer, baseball, softball, rugby, lacrosse, track and field, and nearly every sport requiring explosive acceleration. Throughout these drills, I'll focus on maintaining a forward body lean during acceleration, driving my knees aggressively, producing powerful arm action, and applying force into the ground. Common mistakes include standing upright too early, taking short, choppy steps without force, overstriding, or allowing resistance to compromise sprint mechanics. Our first exercise is a resisted high knee isometric hold. This exercise teaches proper sprint posture while strengthening the muscles responsible for acceleration. To set up, I'll securely anchor the resistance band around a sturdy gym pole and place the opposite end around my waist. I'll step forward until the band is under constant tension, maintain a slight forward lean, brace my core, and assume an athletic sprint stance before beginning the movement. I'll drive one knee upward until my thigh is approximately parallel to the ground while maintaining a 90-degree bend at both the hip and the knee. I'll hold this position for 3 seconds before switching legs. Primary muscles involved include the hip flexors, gluteus maximus, quadriceps, hamstrings, calves, and core stabilizers. And the purpose of this exercise is to reinforce proper sprint positioning while improving unilateral stability and force production. Some common mistakes for this first variation include leaning backward, allowing the support knee to collapse inward, or relaxing the core during the hold. Our second variation is a resisted rapid high knee switches. This progression introduces speed by rapidly alternating knee drive while maintaining proper sprint posture. I'll remain attached to the resistance band while quickly switching my legs under control, emphasizing fast, powerful movements. This exercise improves stride frequency, neuromuscular coordination, and rapid force production. Some common mistakes include allowing the feet to travel too far in front of the body, bouncing excessively, or sacrificing posture for speed. Our final progression is a resisted high knee sprint. This drill combines proper sprint mechanics with continuous resisted acceleration. I'll begin with a forward body lean before explosively driving my knees while rapidly pumping my arms throughout the 15-second sprint. The resistance increases force production while reinforcing proper acceleration mechanics. Primary muscles include the glutes, quadriceps, hamstrings, calves, hip flexors, and core, and common mistakes include standing upright too soon, overstriding, or shortening the arm swing. Next, we'll perform sled sprint variations. Sled training is commonly used to improve horizontal force production and acceleration by increasing the amount of force required to move forward. When performed correctly, sled sprints improve lower body power without dramatically changing sprint mechanics. Our first variation is a forward sled sprint. To begin, I'll attach the sled harness securely around my waist while leaning slightly forward into an acceleration position. I'll produce powerful explosive strides while driving my knees forward and pumping my arms aggressively. Emphasis is on generating force into the ground rather than simply running fast. Primary muscles include the glutes, quadriceps, hamstrings, calves, hip flexors, and core, and common mistakes include standing upright too early, taking overly long strides, or allowing the sled to pull the athlete backward. Our second variation is a lateral sled shuffle. This drill develops lateral acceleration, hip strength, and change of direction performance. I'll begin an athletic stance with my knees slightly bent and hips lowered. Maintaining a square chest, I'll shuffle laterally while continuously pushing against the resistance of the sled. The purpose of this exercise is to strengthen the hip abductors and adductors while improving lateral movement mechanics. And some common mistakes for this variation include crossing the feet, allowing the knees to collapse inward, or standing too upright. Our final variation is a backward sled sprint. Backward sled sprints emphasize quadricep strength, knee stability, and deceleration mechanics while still improving lower body power. I'll begin with my hips slightly lowered and chest tall before driving backward using powerful controlled steps. I'll remain balanced throughout the movement while maintaining continuous tension against the sled. Primary muscles include the quadriceps, glutes, calves, hamstrings, and core. And common mistakes include leaning excessively backward, dragging the feet, or taking very short, ineffective steps. That completes our resisted sprint training. These exercises focus on improving acceleration, horizontal force production, sprint mechanics, and rate of force development through progressive resistance. We'll now transition into hurdle speed drills, where we'll emphasize stride mechanics, coordination, foot speed, and efficient movement patterns. Hurdle drills are commonly used to improve sprint mechanics, stride frequency, coordination, agility, and foot speed. Although hurdles are often associated with track and field, these drills benefit athletes in many sports because they teach efficient movement patterns, body control, and quick ground contact times. Unlike resisted sprinting, hurdle drills emphasize movement efficiency and coordination while maintaining proper posture and rhythm. The goal is not simply to move as fast as possible, but to move with precision, control, and proper mechanics. Throughout every hurdle drill, I'll maintain an athletic posture, stay on the balls of my feet, keep my eyes forward, and minimize the amount of time my feet spend on the ground. Common mistakes include looking down at the hurdles, jumping too high instead of moving efficiently, taking unnecessary extra steps, or allowing posture to collapse. Our first exercise is a double leg hurdle hop. This drill develops lower body power, reactive strength, and the ability to rapidly produce force through the stretch shortening cycle. To begin, I'll stand with both feet together facing the first hurdle in an athletic position. I'll quickly bend my hips and knees before explosively jumping over each hurdle using both legs simultaneously. I'll land softly on the balls of my feet and immediately transition into the next jump while minimizing ground contact time. Primary muscles involved include the gluteus maximus, quadriceps, hamstrings, calves, and core. The purpose of this exercise is to improve reactive strength, vertical power, coordination, and lower body explosiveness. Common mistakes include jumping excessively high, landing with stiff knees, allowing the knees to collapse inward, or pausing too long between hurdles. Our second variation is a single step hurdle run. This drill emphasizes stride frequency, sprint rhythm, and efficient foot placement. I'll begin in an athletic sprint stance before running over the hurdles using one step between each hurdle while maintaining proper sprint mechanics. Throughout the drill, I'll keep my posture tall, my arms moving naturally, and my foot contacts directly underneath my center of mass. This exercise develops sprint coordination and reinforces efficient acceleration mechanics. Common mistakes include overstriding, reaching for the ground with the foot, or slowing down before each hurdle. Our final forward variation is a 3-step hurdle run. This exercise reinforces sprint rhythm and proper stride mechanics while requiring the athlete to maintain consistent spacing between hurdles. I'll accelerate smoothly while taking 3 controlled steps between each hurdle, maintaining a tall posture and an efficient arm action throughout the drill. The purpose of this exercise is to improve coordination, running efficiency, and stride consistency. Primary muscles remain the glute, quadriceps, hamstrings, calves, hip flexors, and core, and common mistakes include changing stride length dramatically between hurdles, looking down, or becoming too tense during the run. Next, we'll perform our lateral hurdle speed drills. These exercises develop lateral movement, coordination, balance, and agility. Many sports require athletes to move efficiently in multiple directions, making lateral movement just as important as straight line speed. Our first lateral variation is a lateral double leg hurdle hop. I'll begin standing beside the first hurdle with both feet together in an athletic stance. Using both legs simultaneously, I'll explosively jump sideways over each hurdle while landing softly before immediately transitioning into the next hop. The purpose of this exercise is to improve lateral reactive strength, hip power, and frontal plane stability. Primary muscles involved include the gluteus medius, gluteus maximus, quadriceps, hamstrings, calves, and core stabilizers. Common mistakes include allowing the knees to collapse inward, losing balance after landing, or jumping excessively high. Our second variation is a lateral side step drill. This drill emphasizes lateral foot speed, coordination, and body control while maintaining an athletic position. I move sideways over each hurdle using quick side steps without crossing my feet. Throughout the drill, I'll remain low with my knees slightly bent and my chest tall. Purpose is to improve lateral movement efficiency and prepare athletes for defensive movements commonly seen in basketball, volleyball, soccer, football, and tennis. Common mistakes include crossing the feet, standing too upright, or allowing the feet to become too slow between hurdles. Our final hurdle variation is a lateral crossover hurdle drill. This exercise challenges coordination by requiring crossover footwork while maintaining balance and speed. I'll move laterally while crossing one foot over the other as I clear each hurdle, maintaining an upright posture and continuous movement. This drill develops agility, coordination, hip mobility, and the ability to efficiently change body positioning while maintaining balance. The primary muscles include the glutes, hip adductors, hip abductors, quadriceps, hamstrings, calves, and core, and common mistakes seen in this variation include looking down at the hurdles, crossing the feet too aggressively, or losing posture during the crossover. That concludes today's main workout. Throughout this session, we've developed explosive power through Olympic lifting, improved reactive strength with plyometric training, enhanced rotational and upper body power, reinforced sprint mechanics through resisted sprinting, and refined speed, coordination, and agility with hurdle drills. Now we'll transition into our cool down. A proper cool down helps gradually lower the heart rate, promotes recovery, reduces muscle stiffness, and restores flexibility following high intensity exercise. Our cool down begins with 5 minutes on the assault bike. Unlike the warm up, the goal now is active recovery rather than preparation for exercise. I'll pedal at a light, comfortable pace while allowing my heart rate and breathing to gradually decrease. Here for this cool down, I'm going about 20 miles per hour. And the purpose of this exercise is to promote circulation, assist with the removal of metabolic byproducts, and begin the recovery process. Again, performing light aerobic activity followed by static stretching can help improve mobility and support the recovery process. So throughout each stretch, I'll avoid bouncing and instead hold the position while breathing normally, allowing the muscles to gradually relax. Common mistakes include bouncing during a stretch, holding the breath, forcing excessive range of motion, or rushing through the cool down. So our first stretch is the box pigeon stretch. This stretch primarily targets the gluteal muscles, piriformis, and deep hip rotators. To perform the stretch, I'll place one leg in front with the knee bent while extending the opposite leg behind me. I'll slowly lean forward while maintaining a neutral spine until I feel a gentle stretch through the hip. This stretch is beneficial following explosive lower body exercises because it improves hip mobility and flexibility. And some common mistakes include twisting the hips or forcing the body too far forward. Next is the seated hamstring stretch. This stretch targets the hamstrings while also improving flexibility through the posterior chain. I'll extend both legs and reach for one opposite leg, keeping my back flat. I'll hinge from the hips until I feel a stretch right behind the thigh. The key is hinging at the hips rather than rounding the lower back. And some common mistakes include locking the knee aggressively or reaching by rounding the spine. For this stretch, I'll be going 2 sets for 15 seconds each side. Our next stretch is the overhead lat stretch. This stretch targets the latissimus dorsi shoulders and muscle along the side of the trunk. I'll reach both arms overhead until I feel a stretch along the sides of my body. This exercise helps restore shoulder mobility following medicine ball throws and Olympic lifting. And some common mistakes include rotating the shoulders or arching the lower back. Next, we'll perform the chest stretch. This stretch focuses on the pectoralis major and anterior shoulder muscles, which were heavily involved during our medicine ball throws and plyometric push-ups. So I'll begin standing and placing both arms behind the back. I'll interlock fingers with my palms facing each other, and then I'll straighten the elbows fully and slowly raise the arms, keeping the elbows straight. And it's very important to keep head upright and neck relaxed while you're stretching these muscles. Common mistakes include shrugging the shoulders or overstretching. Our next exercise is the side-lying quadricep stretch. This stretch targets the quadriceps and hip flexors, both of which work extensively during today's Olympic lifts, jumps, and sprint drills. While lying on my side, I'll grasp my top ankle and gently pull my heel toward my glutes while keeping my knees together. To increase the stretch, I'll lightly extend my hips without arching my lower back. And some common mistakes for this stretch include allowing the knees to separate or rotating the hips backward. Our next stretch is a supine kneaded chest stretch. This stretch targets the gluteal muscles, lower back, and hip extensors. So I'll begin by lying on my back. I'll gently pull one knee toward my chest while keeping the opposite leg relaxed. This movement promotes lower back mobility while helping reduce muscular tension after today's workout. Common mistakes include lifting the shoulders off the floor or pulling too aggressively. Our final stretch is a spinal twist, also known as the pretzel stretch. This stretch primarily targets the piriformis, gluteus maximus, gluteus medius, and other deep hip external rotators. It also helps improve hip mobility and provides a gentle stretch through the lower back and thoracic spine. To perform the stretch, I'll begin seated on the floor with both legs extended. I'll bend one knee and place that foot on the outside of my opposite leg. Next, I'll place my opposite elbow on the outside of the bent knee and gently rotate my torso toward the raised knee while keeping my chest tall and my spine long. I am holding the stretch for about 15 seconds before repeating on the opposite side for 2 sets. Purpose of this stretch is to improve hip mobility, reduce tightness in the gluteal region, and increase flexibility of the piriformis, which can usually become tight following activities such as sprinting, jumping, Olympic lifting, and plyometric training. Common mistakes for this stretch include rounding the lower back instead of rotating through the trunk, forcing the rotation too aggressively, or allowing the chest to collapse forward. This does conclude my exercise demonstration. So today I demonstrated a complete training session consisting of a general and specific warm-up, Olympic lifting variations, lower body, trunk body, and upper body plyometric exercises, resisted sprint training, hurdle speed drills, and a structured cool down with stretching. Throughout each exercise, I focused on proper technique, common errors, targeted muscle groups, and the overall purpose of each movement. These exercises work together to improve muscular strength, power, rate of force development, speed, agility, coordination, and overall athletic performance, while emphasizing safe and effective movement patterns. As a future healthcare professional, I believe it's important not only to demonstrate exercises correctly, but also to educate athletes and clients on why they're performing each movement and how proper technique can improve performance while reducing the risk of injury. Thank you for watching my session number 2, and I hope you enjoyed my demonstration.